If you've been stuck for a while in a situation that you do not know how to get out of, this video may very well change your life. Let's get to it. Hey, I'm Leon Castillo, founder of Selfmastered. We're a high-performance training company that helps entrepreneurs scale their businesses by solving their silent bottleneck, their own performance. We transform the unproductive, overwhelmed, and focused entrepreneurs into laser-focused business athletes that can achieve in one day what they previously achieved in 1 week. So today I want to talk about why growth is not something you chase, it's something you let flow. Something that naturally happens if you remove all the bottlenecks and limits that prevent it from flowing. And this video is going to draw heavily on the theory of constraint by Eliyahu Goldratt that essentially establishes that any system will grow until the level of the limit, and working on anything else that the limit that is preventing that growth from materializing is essentially a waste of resources. Practical example of this is, let's say that you have a factory and you want to install a new software that can increase the production tenfold, but unless you train the managers and convince them to actually install that software, doesn't really matter how good that software is. Conversely, if I'm trying to build a YouTube channel in which I know a lot about strategy, operations, performance, but I do not know anything about showcasing my ideas and talking to the camera, then the system will be limited by my ability to convey these ideas to you. So you need to find the bottleneck that is preventing your growth and work on that until you solve it permanently so that everything else can flow naturally. So how to get systematically unstuck? It's very simple. Find the appropriate bottleneck and then solve it once and for all, so you do not need to work on that anymore. Now, before we dive deep into what are the 3 things that most entrepreneurs get wrong when trying to grow their businesses, remember to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss out on any of the juicy videos that we publish every week to help people like you grow personally and professionally at record speed. And also because it is the right thing to do, right? You like the channel, we've been working hard on this, and this video deserves to get to more people so they can get results. So share it. So back to our regular programming. So the idea here is, unless you fully internalize this idea, you're always going to be running in circles trying to find what it is that is preventing you from growing. If you, on the other hand, fully understand the implication of this idea, growth becomes a natural byproduct of each of your efforts. But there are 3 mistakes that most people, especially entrepreneurs, make when trying to grow their businesses or their careers that, unless addressed, will prevent them from achieving what they want. 1 is focusing on the wrong limit. They're trying to get good at what doesn't matter. They're focusing on what doesn't move the needle. They have a problem prioritizing, and therefore they can really work very hard on the wrong things. And it happened to me, for instance, when I was building Selfmastered for the first time. I come from the venture capital and private equity world, and there what you would normally use would be, especially in private equity, but also in venture capital or trying to build a tech company, you would invest heavily in sales teams, right? So you would use tools like LinkedIn and cold emails in order to get to the ideal prospect. Because of the nature of the service and product that we provide, which is related to personal performance in business, is not something people will grasp inherently. It requires a little bit or a lot of explaining, which is why content marketing is the perfect way to go if we want to showcase the value of what we do. But a cold email is essentially grabbing someone's attention with a couple of lines, explaining what you do, and that person may not understand that they actually need your product or service. So I was essentially working super hard on setting up a sales team. I hired a guy, we started sending hundreds of emails every single week with no results. And let me tell you, I was working super hard. So what was the problem? The problem is I was addressing the wrong limit. I was working hard on what shouldn't be done at all, because cold email is not a good medium to grow these kind of businesses. So that's a very clear example of mistake number 1. Mistake number 2 is not trying hard enough. So not investing enough energy to permanently solve that bottleneck. Just as water boils at 212 degrees Fahrenheit or 100 degrees Celsius, you need to work enough on something in order to give yourself a chance of actually fixing it, of actually changing the internal state. If you just work a little bit, if you half-ass every one of your efforts, if you do not really conduct your experiment in an intense manner, you will be wasting each ounce of effort you effectually devote. So you may be working on the right thing, but you're not working with the right intensity. You're not working enough, and therefore you do not have enough feedback to help you become better at that. And finally, third is that you selected the problem, you worked hard on it, you solved it, but then you didn't create protocols and standards to prevent that limit from collapsing again. You didn't hire someone or institute a practice in your business to address that limit so that limit collapses. The system eventually regresses to a previous state. A good example of this would be, imagine that I finally cracked the code on YouTube and we start getting like a lot of leads from this, but then I stopped doing YouTube. Well, leads will normally stop. So this is an example of working on the right thing, doing it with the right intensity, but then not solving it permanently, not hiring someone to take this work from myself, not continue doing it, not instituting a practice that I can leverage on a weekly basis. So these are the three mistakes: working on the wrong thing, not working with the right amount of intensity, and not solving the bottleneck once and for all. This is what prevents most entrepreneurs from growing their business consistently. So I highly encourage you, if you are stuck, think about what it is that is preventing you from growing, because growth naturally flows once you remove the bottlenecks and the impediments and the obstacles that prevents it from flowing. See you in the next video.